Okay, so first of all, it's a short daf today. First of all, today's learning is for the refuah for all those that are hurt in Eretz Yisrael, the protection of the soldiers and the return of the captives, and Lili Nishmas, those that were killed, even though they're Kiddushin Eliyah. It's a Zecha Nishmas from Moshe ben Nachman Alevi, and Yaakov ben Shargofav Alevi Sarlei Bashmul Tzviach on Mepesa Reis Vashuv and Rav ben Rabarach. So. Also, one more thing: the Kiddush this Shabbos is sponsored in honor of what we're about to finish Seder Nashim. Right after davening, we'll make a siyum, and then the Kiddush down here. So, if anyone wants to be mishtatif, join, please contact me. We're up to the Mishnah on Daf.
What time you think you're going to be finished davening?
11 o'clock. I mean, it should be quick.
Send the money like regular to your father.
Yeah. Okay, we're up to the Mishnah on Daf Pei Beis Amud Aleph. The Mishnah says like this: Lo yilmad adam ravak soifrim. So the Mishnah said like this: you should not have. It's not good to have a single guy teaching young children. Now the Gemara is going to explain this is not because we're worried that he's doing anything to young children. It is very simple. The mothers would bring the kids to the school, and they're worried about interacting. If the guy's married, then Mistama his Yetzer Hara is a little bit better. But if he's a single guy, the moms come in, schmoozes, not good things. And a woman should also not teach young children. I think it should be married men. And the issue with women, the Bach explains, was this is yichud. Now, why is this yichud? Because with the male teacher, there's no problem with yichud because the male teachers used to teach in a school. So there's no problem with yichud because there's a school, there's thousands of kids. But the problem was interacting with the moms, with the parents. The women used to teach not in a school; they used to teach at home, alone, more of a tznius thing. And so now the problem is men are going to their private residence. So I guess nowadays the reason why women do teach is because they're teaching in a school. So you don't have the concern of yichud, you don't have other problems. But the women used to teach at home. And that's why there was a yichud problem, because the fathers would go to the woman's home to pick up the children, and now potentially he's alone with her in her home.
Today it's more because it's tznius in the older grades that they don't.
Correct. Yeah. Rav Elazar adds, we said before that a single guy shouldn't teach young children because the moms come in and he's interacting. But if you're married, there's no Yetzer Hara. But says Rav Elazar, if let's say his wife is away, let's say either he's a widow or let's say his wife is gone on vacation for, she's overseas for half a year, whatever it is, he also shouldn't teach. I mean, even though he's married, but his wife's not here. If his wife's not here, practically also not to teach young children. Rav Yehuda Omer le'yira ravak behema. A single guy should not herd cattle. Because don't be around the animals. That was a concern back then. Two men should not sleep in the same bed, in the same under the same blanket. Although we're not really concerned about homosexuality, it's not a good thing. By the way, women are allowed to, but the Aruch HaShulchan says that weiter. You should also avoid. The Chacham Matir and the Chachamim are mekel because they feel that there's no concern. It's whether we're chayshish for homosexuality in halacha. That's basically the shayla. The Gemara says, "My time. What is the issue with a single guy teaching young children? Ilim shem yunuki." Well, I mean, your initial thought when you hear young children is like maybe he's going to do something inappropriate to the children. The Gemara says, "Vatanya Amar loy le Rabbi Yehuda le nechshad yisal mishkav zachar le'al behema." That's not a concern. You don't concern. A healthy person is not going to do something as evil as that. So why are you concerned? You're going to answer all men of Klal Yisrael because that's not a legitimate concern. Elaravik mishum imsi diunuka isham shem avsa diunuka. Rather, the concern was it's not concern about the children. It's the moms are going to bring their children to the school, interact with the teacher, and it could lead to an inappropriate relationship. The Gemara continues. Rav Elazar said that even if his wife's not around, so the question is, was Rav Elazar specifically referring to a widow? Meaning, the Tanakhama seemed to only ask single men, but a widow would be okay, and Rav Elazar is saying no, a widow also? Or is Rav Elazar even saying, what if he's not a widow? What if he's married, but his wife is overseas for a year? Would Rav Elazar also ask her being a teacher under such a situation? Is it where he doesn't have a wife at all, meaning he's a widow or a divorcee? Or even if he's married but his wife's away, you should also be concerned that he's going to have an inappropriate relationship with the mothers of the students. The Brisa clearly speaks it out that it's an issue Even if he's married, if his wife is overseas, he should not be teaching young children because he's going to interact with the mothers of the students. Rav Yehuda Amar lo yireh, Tanya Amar lo the Rav Yehuda. They said to Rav Yehuda, who said that you should not, a single guy should not teach, should not herd cattle, and two men should not sleep under the same bed because he was choishish. He was concerned about homosexuality and bestiality. Says the Gemara, Amar lo the Rav Yehuda, but that's not a concern. Klal Yisrael, that's not a problem that we have, and therefore that's not something you have to be so crazy about. Very, very long Mishnah. Very, very nice, very, machshavah Mishnah. Kol sha'asaka, first it starts off with halacha. We said before, this is basically a kind of a review from yesterday's Gemara, that we said that two men are allowed to be miyachid with one woman, and there are heterim for yichud. But, if you remember what we said yesterday, is libay gaspa. Once you have a relationship with that woman, and I don't mean an inappropriate relation, I mean you're friends. Once you're friends, a lot of the heterim of yichud go away. So this Mishnah speaks it out. Kol sha'asakav anoshim. Anyone whose business is with women, let's say he is, he supplies makeup stores with makeup, so he has to go from makeup store to makeup store selling makeup. So he's interacting with women on a daily basis. Lo yisyachin anoshim. He can't be miyachid. What does it mean he can't? No one can be miyachid. What it means is all the heterim for yichud go out the window. Why? So Rashi says because he's liba gaspa. If your whole interaction is supposed to charm women, and a relationship, and you're the salesman, they walk in, they know their name. That's all the heterim of yichud go out the window. And for this reason, a man should not teach his son a trade that would involve primarily him interacting with women. That is not a very good trade for a young man to go into. And meaning it's not appropriate to put him in such a massive. So let him be an accountant, let him be something else. He doesn't have to be something specifically that's Isaac with women all day. Rav Meir says you should always, if you're going to teach your kid a trade, teach him a job to be a nikia and kala. Nikia and kala means clean and easy. What do I mean is where there's not much risk of loss, financial loss, and it's not incredibly difficult. The Gemara is going to give an example, like a stitching fabric. There's not much loss. It's not like a high risk. It's not like you're a day trader. It's not a big risk of losing all your money, and it's not the most difficult. You're not backbreaking labor. That's a very good, honest profession for a Jew. And once you have the job, here's what you have to do. You got to daven to Hashem. Why? Every profession, whatever it is, has poor people and has wealthy people. There are doctors that are super wealthy, and there are doctors that are not so wealthy. It's not just automatic. If you go into a job, you'll make money. Every job has a high and a low. You could be a very, very chush of a plumber, and you could have a plumber that doesn't make money. So what do you got to do? You got to daven. He says, every job has poor and rich. Because the money and wealth and the poverty does not come from the job itself. It's all based on schosim, so you got to daven to Hashem. Rav Shimon Elazar used to say like this: Rav Shimon Elazar said, "Did you ever see an animal that has a job?" I mean, the whole concept that we need a job in order to make money is a strange thing because animals don't need, right? Animals are taken care of, and the Gemara says, and the Gemara is going to give examples of this. You don't see a fox who has a store, right? They don't have this. They're all taken care of, right? Every lion is taken care of. He doesn't have a job, but he survives, and he's got water, and he's got food. And those animals are not even meant to serve Hashem. They're meant to serve people. And Shimon says, I was created in order to serve Hashem, so I'm a higher level. So of course I shouldn't have a job. So why do I have to go to work? Because of my sins. So according to many Rishonim, it means the sin of Adam Rishon. So my father said, because of the sin of Adam Rishon, but this is not how it's supposed to be. It shouldn't be like this. The Mishnah continues, Abagurian ish tzaydin oimem mishon Abaguria. So Abagurian quotes Abagurian quotes Abaguria as saying the following. This is the rule. Lo yilmad adam es benoi chamor gamol, kador and safon, roya v'chenveni. He lists, Abaguria, according to this version, lists the following jobs that are not good jobs to have. That is a chamar, a donkey driver, a gamol, a camel driver, a kadar, a wagon driver, a safon, a sailor, roya, a shepherd, v'chenveni, or a storekeeper. Apparently these were very not honest professions. The average one of these were thieves. I mean, you can go through each one. A lot of them kind of make sense, but These are not very classy professions. These were historically thieves that did this. I mean, sailors, because they just went wherever they went and they just like stayed in people's houses and they robbed. So these were not honest professions. Okay, listen. So do not teach your child any of these trades. Now, according to this, by the way, a camel driver and a sailor is a bad profession. But there's a different version of what he said. Rav Yudar Mishmai, no. He said like this, Hachamar and Ruben Risham. According to this version, yes, donkey drivers are mostly evil. But Hagamal and Ruben Kasher, but camel drivers are righteous people, and Asafan Rum Chasidim. And sailors are Chasidim. Why? Because the reason, so Rashi explains, is because the reason being, it was such a dangerous job being a camel driver in the middle of the desert, and a boat and a sailor was so dangerous that they used to daven to Hashem. So they were Hasidim. So according to this version, those are they're dangerous jobs, but they're not evildoers. The famous line, Toiv Shebarevim Gehenim, the best of physicians are going to Gehenim. So there's different explanations. I mean, the most obvious explanation is that in that profession, first of all, there's a very strong inclination to believe you're in control, that you're the Baal HaKoiches Kulam, Koichi V'Otzim Yadi, and also over time you become less sensitive to people that are ill, and that's one of the dangers. So the best doctors go to Gehenna. Okay, but there's explanation that will vindicate those doctors that you know. And Hakasha Shebetavachim Shut V'Shal Amalek, and even the most righteous sheichtim are partners with Amalek. The reason being, so this doesn't necessarily mean a ritual sheichet. This doesn't mean like a halachic sheichet. It means a butcher, not a Jewish. What do we mean? Like the average. Basically, the way the Mefarshim explain it is, whenever you do anything, you're affected by that. If you spend all your day killing animals, you'll become less sensitive to killing. So Rav Moshe Feinstein actually has a tshuva where Rav Moshe says that if you're going to kill a bug, because the bug is freaking you out, don't do it with your hands. Don't do it with your hands. Like put something on top of it or have a trap. Because Rav Moshe says when you do something with your hands, you become less sensitive to it. And Rav Moshe says the reason why I sheicht him, the guy's a sheichet, how is he not, like this Mishnah says, that a partner with Amalek? He says it's because the mitzvah of shechita protects you from that. But if not for that, if you're involved all day with just butchering, then you'll become a butcher. That's your mentality. You'll become less sensitive. The Gemara Mishnah continues. Rav Neroi Omer, Maniach ani kol umne shabaylim. It's like a little machshav at the end of the Masechta. Rav Neroi says, I'll put aside any profession in the world. I'm going to stick with Torah. Why? Because Torah, you get reward in this world, meaning there's some level of schar in this world of Torah, but the Karen is still for the next world. All other trades are not like that. And whatever the profession is, if you become ill or old or no longer capable of doing it, what happens? It walks past you and you go poor, right? It's Eina Yachal Asais b'malachtai, right? Harei hu meis barav, you die of starvation. Aval Torah einakim, but that's not the way the Torah is. Mishmarta mikol rabbim and arusai, Torah guards you from evil when you're young. And it protects you in the future. Listen, you've seen this with your own eyes. Rabbanim that are older, they're feeble and they're tired, but the amount of, first of all, the Torah is still there, and the amount of kavod that they have, it's not like any other profession that it just moves past you. I mean, it stays with you forever. Ben Arusim, I remember, what does it say about Torah when you're young? If you have hope in Hashem, you'll have strength. What does it say when you're old? You'll still be fruitful. It still gives you strength. And it says by Avram Zakein, Hashem berachas Avram bakol. Even when he was old, he had a bracha bakol, which is Torah. Matzinu shasa Avram Avinu is kol Torah kula shleina, and we find that Avram Avinu he was Isaac and kol Torah kula shenemar. Eikev shesham Avram mekoili v'yishmer shmarti mitzaisa chukayis v'sarasa. The pasuk says because Avram obeyed my Torah and he kept my laws. By the way, the Medrash points it out that Akev is also 172, which he lived 175 years, but he found Hashem at the age of 3. So Akev means for 172 years, Avram was Isaac and Kol HaTorah Kula. Okay, let's start the Gemara. We'll finish up. A lot of the Gemara is going to be a review of the Mishnah, which he does it sometimes. Tana Rabbana, Kol Sha'asakev Amanoshim, anyone whose business is primarily with women, Sarura, his behavior is not going to be good. It's not a good profession for a Judean to be Isaac dealing with women all day, because it's inappropriate. Kigoyin, Hatzarfin, goldsmiths, they made jewelry for women. Hasarikin, these apparently they would, these were tailors for women's clothing. Hanakares, they would clean the mill the hand mill, basically the pots and pans, they would fix them. V'haroichlin, peddlers of women's toiletries, hagadim, weavers, hasafam, and barbers. I guess women would bring the kids to the barbers in this year, dealing with women all day. Hakaisman, launderers, vagar, and bloodletters. Va'akulon, and a bathhouse attendant, vaburski, and a tanner. All of these things are not very good professions for a young, good Jewish boy. And more than that, we would not take a king or a kohen gadol from any of these professions. My time, it's not that they're halachically disqualified from being a melech or a kohen gadol, and because it's a demeaning work and it's a low-class behavior. It would lead them to bad things, and therefore we do not want a king or a melech that had such a job. Taner Rabbanan. There are 10 things that were said about a bloodletter. Mahalach al tzidoi, he walks with gaiva. Ruche gasa, he thinks as a bal gaiva. Nitl v'yoshev, he reclines when he sits. These are all signs of gaiva. Ve'enoi tzara, he's stingy. Ve'enoi ra, he has an evil eye. Oichel harbe, he eats a lot. U'moitzekima, but he doesn't give a lot of tzedakah. V'chosher al arayis, they were suspected of arayis. V'al and robbery. V'al shvichas damim, and shvichas damim, because a lot of times they would kill people. So all of these things, bloodletters, not the good profession for a Jew. Tarish bar kapara la'olam yilmed adam b'nei umnis nekiya v'kala. We saw in the Mishnah that a person should teach his son a clean and easy profession, a profession that is not that back laboring and also low risk of losing all your money. Maihi, what is an example of this? I'm Rabbi to go to the next page. Machta de talmusa, a type of stitching fabric. It wasn't back-breaking labor and the risk of losing profession. It was basically, everyone needed it at the time. So it's a pretty basic, it's like coding for now. It's like, unless AI might take that away, I don't know. But the point is, a profession, insert profession that will be here for a while. The Gemara continues, Tanya, it's like a dentist. Tanya, Rabbi Omer, Rabbi says, any meaningful trade will continue to exist. Meaning, at all times, there are certain jobs that the world will always need. But some of them are gross and miserable, and some of them are very nice and classy. Pick the good one, right? There's always going to need garbage men, right? That's until machines. Machines might take away all this. But you could always need it. You always need garbage men. You probably also need dentists. So, like, out of the two, Mustami, you shouldn't pick garbage. The point is, the Gemara says like this: Ashrei misha raya harav b'umnas me'ula. Happy is someone who sees that his parents, if you get to see your parents in a superior job, oila misha raya harav b'umnas beguma. The opposite is not good. Meaning, at the time of the Mishnah, the time of the Gemara, the world always needed perfume people and tanners. Tanners smell disgusting, perfume smell great. That was always a staple. The world needed both. So, like, how lucky you are if you get to have the good one. Okay, we'll do this quick. The world always needs males and females. Better male than female. As our mayor said in the Mishnah, you should always have a clean and easy profession, and then daven. Because wealth and poverty is not from the job. Every job has people that are successful, and every job has people that are failing. It's all Hashem. Shenemar li hakesef v'li hazov noam Hashem tzivakos. It is my gold and it is my silver, says Hashem, Master of Hosts. Rav Shimon Elazar Omer reisa mimecha Tanya. Rav Shimon Elazar Omer. Rav Shimon Elazar said that was the point. He said that really we shouldn't have a job because animals who are a lower form of beings than us, they don't have jobs. And he elaborated in the Brisa. I never saw a deer that produced dried figs. I never saw a deer have a dry fig store. Ari Sovel, I never saw a lion that schlepped packages. Shul Chenveni, I never saw a fox that had a like a pharmacy and had a store, had an apteka. I like saying that word, but I never had a fox that had a store. So. Yet all these fox and deer and lions are all taken care of. Their parnas is taken care of. And they're only created to serve humans. I'm serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I shouldn't have to spend my day doing manual labor. But human beings, due to Adam Rishon sin, we corrupted our actions and we forfeited our parnas. nasa shenemar avnei seichem hitu is due to the sins that turned away the bracha. Let's finish up with this. Tanya Rav Nuomer, maniach ani kol u'mishav ha'olam. I put aside all trade in the world, ve'in melamed es b'ni el Torah, and all I do is Isaac and Torah. Shekol u'mishav ha'olam ein amedus la'elim mi'al dusai, because all jobs only help you when you're young and strong and healthy enough to do them. Av meizaknusa harei muta barav. But when you get older, you need welfare, you need Medicare. Aval Torah einikim, but that's not the way the Torah is. Amedus lavam be'yal dusai. It protects you from evil when you're young. And it gives you covered when he gets older. It gives you purpose. What does it say when you're young? It gives you hope. It gives you be fruitful and vigorous and strong. And say the Nashim. Mazel tov, guys. On to the next one. Pick it up tomorrow.
Last Shabbos is Haftorah.
Oh, sorry, I cut him off.